Today I'm going to read What If You Could Spy Like a Narwhal by Sandra Merkel.
What if, one day when you woke up, you found out that overnight you gained a weird animal superpower? What if you could generate powerful electric shocks like an electric eel, vanish like a giant cuttlefish, or mimic all kinds of strange sounds like a superb lyrebird? How in the world could a weird animal superpower change your life? Narwhal. What if you could spy like a narwhal? A narwhal doesn't spy with its eyes the way you do. A special body part just below its blowhole produces streams of clicks, which pass out through its forehead as sound beams. A narwhal aims these beams and listens for echoes, which it can detect from nearly a mile away. This kind of spying is called echolocation. A narwhal uses echolocation to sense what's around it, find food, and survive. That's because, though a narwhal can hold its breath, it must surface for air. So, in the winter, when the Arctic Ocean is covered with thick ice, a narwhal uses echolocation from the dark depths to home in on a crack. Then, in the nick of time, it swims up, pokes its head out of the water, and breathes. Where in the world? Narwhals live in the Arctic Ocean. If you could spy like a narwhal, you'd discover amazing sunken treasure. What you should know: adult size, up to 17 feet long, and weighs up to 2,000 pounds. Lifespan, up to 90 years. Diet, mainly fish, squid, and shrimp. Growing up, a baby narwhal is called a calf. Females usually give birth to a single calf every 3 years. The calf develops inside its mother's body for about 14 months, and most are born in the Arctic spring, April through May. The young stay close to their mothers and nurse for at least a year as they learn to hunt on their own within the pod or group of narwhals. Narwhals change color as they age. Calves are mainly gray, juveniles are completely bluish black, mature adults are spotty gray, and older narwhals are almost completely white. Wonder why? A male narwhal has a long tusk? What looks like a tusk is really its left canine tooth that's grown through its upper lip. It may grow to be up to 10 feet long. Scientists believe males use their tusk to compete for mates. However, they have been observed dueling only with gentle tusk rubs. After all, hard knocks could cause a tusk ache. Ouch! Supercharged. If you could spy like a narwhal, you'd always find the shortest way out of the maze. Superb lyrebird. What if you could mimic sounds like a superb lyrebird? Superb lyrebirds are talented sound mimics. Both males and females can mimic, but males do so more often, and they are louder. Male superb lyrebirds have been recorded mimicking the wing beats of flying birds, chattering forest animals, and a chorus of singing kookaburras. Male superb lyrebirds in zoos have been recorded mimicking even more unusual sounds, such as a chainsaw, a car alarm, and a pounding hammer. Though scientists know the lyrebird's syrinx, voice box, is different than that of other birds, they're still studying how they are able to produce such unusual sounds. They do know that a female lyrebird follows the sounds that wow her to choose her mate. Where in the world? Superb lyrebirds live in wet forests in Australia. If you could mimic sounds like a superb lyrebird, you'd be famous for creating movie sound effects. What you should know. Adult size. Males are about 32 to 39 inches long from beak to tail tip and weigh about 2 pounds. Females are smaller with a plain, slightly shorter tail. Lifespan up to 30 years. Diet mainly worms and insects dug from the forest floor. Growing up, a baby lyrebird is called a chick. After mating, the female lyrebird leaves the male and lays a single egg in a dome shaped nest of sticks she builds on the forest floor, sometimes on a tree stump or on a rocky ledge. Every day she has to leave the nest to eat because it takes the chick about 50 days to hatch. After the chick hatches, the female brings food to the chick for 6 to 10 more weeks. She also guards it from hungry hunters, predator birds such as pied currawongs, by mimicking alarm calls of other animals. Even after the young bird develops feathers and begins finding food for itself, it stays with its mother for most of its first year. Wonder why a male superb lyrebird has such a showy tail? A male superb lyrebird needs to show his showy tail to win a mate. Once his songs and sound, mimic cry, draw a female close, he works hard to impress her by spreading his tail, even flipping it over his head. Supercharged. If you could mimic sounds like a superb lyrebird, you wouldn't need an instrument to play in the band. Three-banded armadillo. What if you could armor up like a three-banded armadillo? All armadillos have armor-like plates, together called a carapace, covering their bodies. But only the three-banded armadillo can ball up completely. It can do so because its head, back, and tail carapace plates are perfectly shaped to fit together. Strong muscles along its sides power this defensive move. When it first senses danger, usually it only rolls up halfway. That allows its nose to stay untucked for easier breathing. But if a big predator, such as a jaguar, comes close, its muscles jerk. Snap! The three-banded armadillo's body rolls into a tight, armored ball that's too big and hard for the predator to bite. Where in the world? Three-banded armadillos live in South America, mainly in savannas and dry forests. If you could armor up like a three-banded armadillo, you'd have all you need to do cool tricks at the skateboard park. What you should know. Adult size. Males are a little bigger than females. They may be as long as 15 inches from snout to tail tip and weigh a little over 3 pounds. Lifespan. Up to 20 years in zoos, but unknown in the wild. Diet. Mainly ants and termites. Growing up. A baby armadillo is called a pup. Three-banded armadillo mothers produce one golf ball sized pup at a time. Scientists believe being pregnant with more would make it hard for the mother to ball up. The pup develops inside its mother's body for about 120 days. When it's born, it looks like a little adult, although its carapace is leathery soft for the first few days. The mother cares for the pup alone, protecting it and nursing it. During most of the rest of its first year, the mother and juvenile often share the same shelter at night. Wonder why the three-banded armadillo has super strong, long claws? Where it lives, the ground is often stone hard, but its strong claws let it dig almost 2 feet deep for an ant or termite dinner. Its claws are also so long its front feet walk on its claw tips rather than its foot pad. Scientists call this a ballerina walk. Supercharged. If you could armor up like a three-banded armadillo, you'd be a star goaltender for the hockey team. Alpine ibex. What if you could climb like an alpine ibex? An alpine ibex is a climbing machine. Its short legs and body shape let it easily balance on narrow ledges. Alpine ibex are also strong and nimble enough to jump more than 6 feet from a standing start across a section of missing ledge. Most important, it has mountain climbing feet, hooves made up of 2 toes that can move independently. Each toe section of the hoof has a hard, sharp outer edge for gripping, plus a soft middle part that acts like a non slip suction cup. Where in the world? Alpine ibex live in the Alps on rocky slopes and cliffs and in mountain meadows. If you could climb like an alpine ibex, you'd climb fun walls and have your snacks too. What you should know. Adult size. Males are about twice as big as females. A large male's body is about 5 or 6 feet long and weighs around 176 pounds. Lifespan about 14 to 18 years. Diet mainly grass. Growing up, a baby alpine ibex is called a kid. A female gives birth to 1 or 2 kids at a time after they develop inside her body for about 5.5 months. Almost immediately after a kid is born, it is alert and able to run and jump and follow its mother, even on narrow mountain ledges. The kids nurse for about 4 to 6 months, although they are already sampling grasses and their horns are beginning to grow. When they're 2 to 3 years old, males join a nearby male herd. Young females stay with their mother's herd. The two herds usually meet only during the breeding season, December through January. Wonder why both male and female alpine ibex have horns? Their horns help the adults stand their ground against other adults. Even more important, their horns help them protect themselves and their young from predators such as wolves. A male's horns can grow to be about 40 inches long. A female's horns usually don't grow longer than 14 inches. Supercharged. If you could climb like an alpine ibex, you could easily retrieve a ball from the roof. Colugo. What if you could fly like a colugo? When a colugo stretches out, it unfolds a giant skin sheet called a patagium. This extends among all four legs and the colugo's tail. Even its toes are webbed to add air catching surface. Plus, a colugo is very lightweight. No wonder that in one leap it can glide through the forest farther than the length of an American football field. Whoosh! Where in the world? Colugos live in forests in Southeast Asia. If you could fly like a colugo, taking out the trash would be an adventure. What you should know. Adult size. Females are a little bigger than males, up to 16 inches long, but only weigh about 35 ounces. Lifespan, up to 15 years. Diet, mainly leaves, flowers, and the tender new shoots at the ends of branches. Growing up. A baby colugo is just called a baby. Colugos are believed to mate throughout the year. A mother usually gives birth to a single baby after the youngster develops inside her body for about 60 days. When resting, the mother curls up her tail, folding her patagium into a pouch for her baby. This keeps the youngster warm and safe from predators, such as owls or eagles. When mother travels, baby rides along by tightly gripping her furry chest. Though increasingly on its own, a young colugo takes about 3 years to mature. Wonder why a colugo has big eyes? A colugo is mainly active at night. Having big eyes helps it find food and watch out for predators. Supercharged. If you could fly like a colugo, you'd be first in line every time. Electric eel. What if you could shock like an electric eel? An electric eel's body is shocking. That's because most of its long body contains special parts that produce both weak and strong electric shocks. Usually active only at night, it gives off weak shocks, just a little stronger than a 9-volt battery, to create an electric field around itself. At the same time, special sensors all over its skin detect any breaks in this field. That way, the electric eel senses the size, shape, and location of whatever is around it. When it senses food or an enemy, it gives off an electric shock as strong as 650 volts. That's 5 times more powerful than any North American home electric wall socket. Where in the world? Electric eels are not really eels, but a kind of fish that lives in fresh water in South America's Amazon and Orinoco river systems. If you could shock like an electric eel, you'd never worry about the power going out. What you should know. Adult size. Adults may be as long as 8 feet and weigh as much as 44 pounds. Lifespan up to 20 years. Diet mainly fish. Growing up, a baby electric eel is called a larva. Larvae develop inside eggs. The electric eel father creates a foamy nest by producing a lot of spit bubbles. Inside the nest, the mother deposits as many as 1,700 eggs, and the father covers them with sperm. Although it starts out as bubbles, this nest becomes tough so it doesn't break up as it floats on the river. The father guards the nest. About 2 weeks later, the larvae hatch. Though tiny, they can already produce a weak electric shock to catch equally tiny prey, such as some crustaceans. When predators, such as bigger fish, are around, the young electric eels go back inside the nest, still guarded by their father. He keeps guarding the nest and his young until the rainy season arrives about 2 months later. By then, the young electric eels are big enough to leave and take care of themselves. Wonder why an electric eel surfaces and opens its big mouth? An electric eel's river habitat is often so muddy that the water is oxygen poor, so its gills can't supply all the oxygen its body needs. About every 10 minutes, it pushes its head out of the water, opens its mouth, and gulps air. The first part of its gut absorbs the extra oxygen it needs from the air. Supercharged. If you could shock like an electric eel, you'd always have power wherever you went. Hairy frog. What if you could cut like a hairy frog? Nobody messes with a hairy frog. Both males and females are armed with cat like extendable claws, tucked inside the skin of the toes of their back feet. When a hairy frog is attacked by a hungry animal, such as an African otter, muscles attached to the stiff tips of each of its toes contract. That allows the bones at the toe tips to drive straight through the toe pads. Those bones are claw sharp and they stab the frog's attacker. This surprising attack is usually enough to drive away its enemy. Scientists wonder, but don't yet know, whether a hairy frog's toes heal over or the claws remain out forever. Either way, a hairy frog is always ready to defend itself. Where in the world? Hairy frogs live in tropical rainforests in Central Africa. If you could cut like a hairy frog, you'd be a famous salad chef. What you should know. Adult size, about 4 inches long and weigh about 3.5 ounces. Males are a little bigger than females. Lifespan, up to 5 years. Diet, mainly small insects, millipedes, and snails. Growing up, a baby hairy frog is called a tadpole. A mating female and male release eggs and sperm in quiet waters along the edges of fast flowing streams. Once the tadpoles hatch, they breathe through gills and swim into the quickly moving water. There, each uses its large mouth like a suction cup to anchor onto a rock. This allows the tadpoles to stay safe as hungry fish that might eat them are swept past. However, a hairy frog tadpole has to let go and allow itself to be swept along whenever it's catching its own meals of tiny insects and smaller tadpoles. Scientists aren't sure how long it takes a hairy frog tadpole to become a froglet. Froglets have developed lungs and they need to breathe air. Females leave the stream, but males remain along the stream's edge. Wonder why a male hairy frog is hairy? Only males have what looks like hair on their sides and back legs. These are actually thin strands of skin. Males appear to become even hairier during mating season. Scientists believe one reason male hairy frogs are hairy may be to attract a mate. However, Scientists are still studying these frogs and have a lot left to learn. Supercharged. If you could cut like a hairy frog, you could start your own pet grooming business. Giant cuttlefish. What if you could vanish like a giant cuttlefish? A giant cuttlefish can appear to vanish because it's a hide and seek master. Its skin contains small sacs of pigment or coloring material. These sacs are surrounded by muscles that connect to its nervous system. The muscles make the sacs expand or shrink to alter the cuttlefish's coloring so it closely matches its surroundings, even if they are not plain. And because the giant cuttlefish has lots of muscles but lacks a hard, bony skeleton, it quickly changes its body shape to be the best possible match to its hiding place, helping it disappear. Poof! Where in the world? Giant cuttlefish live in temperate ocean water, mainly along the southern coast of Australia. If you could vanish like a giant cuttlefish, you wouldn't get caught staying up after bedtime. What you should know. Adult size. Males may be larger than females, with the largest measuring about 3.2 feet. Including extended arms, they weigh around 28 pounds. Lifespan 1 to 2 years. Diet mainly fish and crustaceans, such as crabs. Growing up. A baby giant cuttlefish is called a hatchling. At 2 months old, it becomes a juvenile, and starting around 7 months, it becomes a subadult. After mating season, May to August, adult male dies. Females deposit their eggs one at a time, tucking them into rock crevices for safekeeping before they also die. The babies develop inside their eggs for 3 to 5 months before hatching. Although they are tiny, even as hatchlings, they are exact copies of their parents. Those that survive being caught by predators, such as sharks, grow bigger as they mature into adults. Wonder why a giant cuttlefish sometimes has bumpy skin? A giant cuttlefish's skin has a papillae, muscle controlled areas that can bump up, similar to human goosebumps. Only the giant cuttlefish can control when, where, and how long its skin is bumpy. Being bumpy helps a giant cuttlefish blend in when it's hiding among something lumpy or rough, such as seaweed or rocks. Supercharged. If you could vanish like a giant cuttlefish, you'd never get caught playing hide and seek. Leopard sea cucumber. What if you could ambush like a leopard sea cucumber? A leopard sea cucumber has a built in defense system. If attacked by a predator, such as a crab, it shoots tubules from the end of its digestive tract. Though its body contains several hundred tubules, it only launches about 15 at a time. Next, its breathing system pumps these tubules full of water, so they stretch out nearly 20 times longer. Plus, on contact, cells on each tubule's surface break open and pour out a gluey substance. Zap! The attacker is trapped. Meanwhile, the leopard sea cucumber breaks free of its tubules and escapes. Later, the last tubules regrow, so the leopard sea cucumber is always armed. Where in the world? The leopard sea cucumber lives around coral reefs in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. If you could ambush like a leopard sea cucumber, you'd have no trouble keeping unwanted visitors out of your room. What you should know. Adult size, maybe as long as 19 inches and may weigh about 1 pound. Lifespan, up to 10 years. Diet, mainly microscopic algae and animal wastes on the sea floor. Growing up, a baby leopard sea cucumber is first called a larva. When it's older but not yet an adult, it's called a juvenile. Whenever male and female leopard sea cucumbers meet in the ocean, they release sperm, male, and eggs, female. Any egg and sperm joining produce a tiny free-swimming larva that looks nothing like a sea cucumber. The larva spends a few weeks swimming and feeding on tiny algae. Then it settles to the seafloor and becomes a barrel-shaped juvenile that looks like a little sea cucumber. For the next few months, it feeds on more tiny algae and slowly becomes an adult leopard sea cucumber, which then grows bigger and bigger. Wonder why a leopard sea cucumber has tube feet? A leopard sea cucumber has several rows of tube feet on its lower surface. It uses these to crawl along the seafloor. When it's climbing over something, such as a rock, the tips of its tube feet give off a little bit of gluey substance, perfect for a firm grip. Supercharged. If you could ambush like a leopard sea cucumber, you'd be the number one tackler on your football team. Home sweet habitat. All living things need a habitat to call home. This special place supplies the oxygen, water, food, shelter, and space needed to live and produce babies. Earth offers a number of very different habitats. What may seem like weird superpowers to us are most often ways that animals have adapted to thrive in their habitats.